Taverns, inns, taprooms, a function of every Dungeons and Dragons campaign. And why should you have to go thinking of them yourself as the DM? You don't have time for that. You got to focus on other stuff. So how about we take a look at Drop the Dice, Taverns, Inns, and Taprooms from this DM's Guild review, and we'll talk all about what's contained inside and why it stayed at the #1 bestseller on the DM's Guild for so long. Stay tuned. All right, up front, couple things. One, Drop the Die is a good friend of mine, so that's one thing to get out of the way. Two, he provided me a copy of this for free to run a review on, or do a review on. That being said, I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to tell you my opinions on it as we go through it. But I'm not going to lie. It's a fantastic tool, and let me just show you, and we'll go through it. Here we are on the DM's Guild. $9.99, so it's a pricier module, let's be honest, but see this right here? Best platinum seller. You don't get that because it's crappy. It's got 4.5 stars on 27 reviews. That's almost a travesty from the amount of sales it must have made. More people got to go out and review stuff. So you can see there's a ton of different reviews. It's a 90-page document. It's extensive. So again, as with all of these, one, I'm not going to go through everything because I'd be here for hours. Two, I don't want to discourage you from picking up a copy of it for yourself, but we are going to go through a couple different sections, hit on some key points, and you guys can make your own selections based on that. And he does have other products out there as well. So let's just jump in. So here we are. It's also featured on D&D Community. Good stuff. So let's scroll in. So introduction, and he's going to talk a little bit about each thing, how to use it. 4 chapters. First 3 present details, NPCs, rules, etc. for Taverns, Inns, and Taprooms, and then there's several appendices in the back. So chapter 1, Taverns. What's it going to have? All of them are basically going to have these things. The size, the food, the services, entertainment, operations. You can see it's pretty much the same thing for the inns and the taprooms. Just to give you kind of what he's saying when he says these, spread through the entirety of the civilized world, one need not look far for a communal gathering place to share food, stories, and camaraderie. Such places guaranteed to arise wherever civilization blossoms, come in many forms, but a tavern, we will define, is any location open to the public in which alcoholic beverages, food, small games of chance, and short-term lodging can be found. That's a taproom. What's an inn? The world is vast and unfamiliar place to all who traverse it. Such travelers may find themselves weary in need of temporary home while they tend to their wounds, wait for a wayward courier, or assess the next destination on their travel. Inns would be classified as any location that primarily offers lodging for extended stays, often for a wide variety of guests. Such locations have several rooms and a large staff to accommodate each patron's needs. And lastly, taprooms are any establishments whose primary focus is alcoholic beverages. Food is secondary or completely forgotten for a wide assortment of vintages, and such places have no lodging accommodations at all. So what am I going to give to you in our DM's Guild review? I'm going to give you one of each, one tavern, one inn, one taproom. We're going to use the generation table at the end to generate our own tavern, and then we'll glance over some stuff in the appendices a little bit here and there, and then we'll move on. So, tavern. I like the first one, the Shouting Sail, so that's the one we're going to go with. And you can see what we've got here. The atmosphere, it's rowdy. The lodging is poor, but there's plenty of it. The food is poor, the entertainment is grand, and the region is a forest, rural, or upland area. We have our costs on a scale of 1 to 5 gold dragons. So the Shouting Squid was once a 3-masted transport barge that fell from the sky, crushing most of a farmhouse, and basically now it's become this tap house, mixing a 3-story home with a ship on top. Rebranded the Shouting Sail, is open to all weary travelers. The one-time captain of the old vessel refuses to explain how the ship managed to get so far inland, the fate of half his crew, or where the rumor of a vast hoard of coin came from. Instead, he chooses to regale people with stories of his and his crew's previous high adventures on the 7 seas. And we can see here we have one of the NPCs is the captain, Captain Gage Abram. Swashbuckler is a reedy man with a cross-shaped scar on the side of his head, a pair of wounds that cleave the top of his ear off. His agents kept getting up to him. His salt and pepper hair stretches from the top of his scabby head to the point of his self-proclaimed noble mustache. Anyone would be hard-pressed to recall a time Captain Abram didn't have a sword strapped to his hip or in his hand. Always happy to share stories, local bounties, tricks of the trade, or advice to any who seek it, he is also an expert at holding his liquor, as well as a renowned Mumblety-Peg player. Captain enjoys showing off his many varied and remarkable talents. So you can already see here backstory, descriptive NPCs, and then we can go down here and see Mumblety-Peg is a game played by 2 or more players standing a stride or 2 from one another with their legs spread shoulder-width apart. Each person takes turns throwing a dagger end over end down into the floor as deeply as possible, as closely to their own foot as possible. The loser of the round has to get on their hands and knees and attempt to pull the winner's knife from the floor with their teeth. If they cannot, they're out of the game. The player who strikes their own foot wins the round, or ties with other members who strike their foot. Playing. On your turn, while wielding a non-magical dagger, roll any attack roll against the floor. The floor has AC 10. Roll damage normally to determine how deeply the blade sinks into the floor. On an attack roll of 2 to 9, dagger bounces off the floor without dealing damage. On a critical miss, a natural roll of 1, the dagger sinks into your own foot, dealing damage to you. On a natural 20, you may choose exactly where the dagger lands, including between one's toes or through one's shoe. At the end of the round, the player who rolled the lowest attack must make a strength check to attempt to pull the winner's knife out of the ground with their teeth. The DC for the strength check equals double the damage dealt by the winner's attack. If the player fails the strength check, they are out of the game. If they succeed on pulling the dagger from the ground, they continue to the next round. If you'd like to turn this into a drinking game, at the start of each round, every player drinks a mug of ale, beer, or mead. Characters can imbibe a number of drinks equal to their con mod before they are affected, after which they already take a cumulative -2 to attack rolls and ability checks. A player who imbibes a number of drinks equal to their con score, so potentially up to 20 total drinks, passes out. The crew, much like their one-time captain, whom they still refer to as such, the remaining crew do not talk about their last voyage, their near-bottomless wealth, nor the fate of the other half. Of the original 130-man crew, 65 were aboard the ship when it fell from the sky, and 51 survived the fall onto the Mechniv family home. All able hands worked tirelessly to help create the amalgamation known as the Shouting Sail, but since its completion, 40 of their number have since departed. 2 notable crewmen keep the prosperous Shouting Sail alongside their captain, they work there, is Razira Hillstepper, a stout halfling druid, a shaman of sorts, and, oh boy, Blasian, non-binary half-elf bard, I don't know, Telesian? I don't know how you pronounce it. Spindly, well-dressed master of wearing many different hats, both figuratively and literally. A small human family and their dragonborn guardian were displaced by the massive ship. When the pirates offered a vast fortune for the opportunity to stay and make the wreckage their home, the family agreed. The stony fields the family once painstakingly tended to are now overgrown with thick grasses and hay they let the horses graze on. On the uppermost terrace grows Brazira's prized barley. Life the family admits has markedly improved since the day the shouting squid landed in their laps. Here's some information about the Mechnavs. I mean, to the point where we have that Mel Mechnev's thick-fingered hands cramp with arthritis during the cold months, much to his displeasure. I mean, like, we have that much descriptiveness on the NPCs of the people that were displaced when the thing fell onto them. You could have just had them killed or disappeared, but instead we have this much information. Then we can see, again, the rest of the Mechnibs here. The cook, known by the crew as Hambones. No one who meets Samuel Loam, the half-orc bandit, would ever think of him as a pleasant person. The short, stocky half-orc suffers no foolery and would sooner eat a bowl of nails as hear unwanted criticism about his cooking. His sous chef, a very young tan dwarf named Harlan Bronzebane. I mean, also names, which is something that JB does well that I don't. Scurries around day and night to the shouts of his mentor, trying to please the stubborn half-orc. So let's talk rooms and amenities. There was no shortage of sleeping space in the Shouting Sail, but even storied sailors would be hard-pressed to call the accommodations anything but survivable. Price tag of 5 copper per night, occupants shouldn't expect much. The decks of the ships have been walled with heavy planks and thick canvas curtains as doors. The size of each room may vary, but there is a space and hammocks for more than 200 guests to sleep off a night's heavy drinking, as well as dozens of small circular windows to let in a cool forest breeze. Each room has a heavy wooden chest with an iron padlock. Renting a chest for the night costs a hefty 5 silver pieces. The crew and the captain make no guarantees for the security of the chests, but do make a very public and violent show of what happens to thieves, even after aboard the Shouting Squid, even after its permanent careening. Night peddlers, crewmen walk along the sleeping quarters all day and well into the night with buckets full of scalding hot water and bars of soap for sale at 2 copper pieces, fresh baked bread and butter for 1 copper piece, and hot fruit wine for 4 silver a pitcher. Such peddlers wear a red sash around their waists, covered in tinkling bells to announce their arrival after dark in place of shouting down the halls as they want to do during the daylight hours. Okay, menu. Here we go. Food and drink in the Shouting Sale is plentiful, but of subpar quality. Every 10 day, 2 large carts bring enormous barrels of wine and rum. Meanwhile, in the unused windmill, heavy fermentation vats produce gallons upon gallons of beer and ale all year round. Breakfast is 3 copper pieces, served from daylight until an hour or 2 after sunrise each morning. Dinner, 4 copper pieces. Less structured than breakfast, generally people can make a request at any time during the day for whatever's on offer from the kitchen. Work meals, 3 silver pieces, are offered for those traveling locally. They contain a plethora of dried fruit, salted venison, hard-baked bread, pouch of simple spices. Sometimes when a braziera is in the kitchen, dried teas will be included at no additional price. Dessert is 1 copper piece, is a luxury and not always available, but when it is, the portions are small and served reservedly. Man, I'm on a roll these past couple of reviews, lest most of it end up reintroduced to the barroom floor. Then we have some intrigue stuff here, a family secret. Patrons who go to great lengths to win Julianne, Mel, or Wertrin's trust may be told the story of how Wertrin joined the family, the fate that befell Fret, and the scars that cover young Valent. Wertrin, despite his incredible capabilities as a warrior, found himself beset by a gnoll pack in the woods north of the Meknav farm. Though he killed several of the creatures, they returned again and again in greater numbers, pounding him to exhaustion. Eventually, was cornered by 3 of the beasts in a cave on the edge of the Meknav property. Barely able to lift his axe, let alone swing it, it's a marvel he managed to kill off one of his attackers. As the dog-like killer stabbed and smashed at... See, there it says Wooten, so there's a typo. With spears, it was young Valent Meknev who ran into the cave with a heavy branch, screaming loud enough to wake the dead. He did a little to wound the gnolls, but gave them and Wutrin a hell of a fight. While one of the gnolls pounced on the child, raking and chewing him, the boy's father, Fret, took the other one in the chest with a well-placed crossbow bolt. On seeing his packmate die, the gnoll abandoned Valent and fell upon Fret with claws, a dagger, and powerful jaws. The struggle lasted only a few moments, but when the melee stopped, both Fret and the gnoll lay dead. Both of them cut to pieces by the other. Wutrin dragged himself to the boy's side, who lay howling in pain, screaming for his father, his mother, his god, any name that might take the pain away. Wutrin did the only thing he could and knocked the boy out. He carried young Valent for a time and dragged his father, till his hands couldn't bear the weight. When he finally woke, a huge man called Mel had Wutrin slung across his back, the boy under one arm and Fret under the other. Soaked in the combined blood, the huge man kept screaming the name Julianne. Wutrin and Wayland recovered together in the Meknev house, watched over by Mel and tended by Julianne. Fret was buried unceremoniously under a shady tree next to the other 2 family graves. Together the family wept. Julianne wept with sorrow, Valent with regret, and Mel with pride. When his wounds mended, Wutrin decided to remain with the family. He swore an oath to remain by Valent's side and watch over the boy until he became a man, or pay a debt to Fret that only Wutrin felt was owed. Only the smartest, most trusted, or ruthless, ambitious of adventurers would ever learn of the hidden wealth accumulated by the crew of the Shouting Squid. Hidden away in various lockboxes in the Shouting Sail are portions of treasure for each member of the crew, totaling 81,449 gold pieces worth of gemstones and coinage of various mints. A portable hole is locked inside a trapped chest buried under hundreds of thousands of tons of soil and stone directly underneath the Shouting Sail Tavern. Inside the portable hole is another 3.7 million gold coins, along with 20,000 gold pieces worth of art and collectible objects. Should the hoard ever be touched by someone not of the crew or the shouting squid, ever touch the ocean again, there is nowhere in the multiverse safe for the thief or the ship to hide from the creature that comes for retribution. Then we have a quest here. The Rat. Captain Abram, should he ever come to trust an adventuring party, may make a request of them. Back when his crew was sailing for their supper, a crewman they picked up along the coast named Jarrus the Rat Custon, a were-rat, stole a singularly personal treasure from Gage before making his escape in the dead of night, the captain's magical scimitar, Stormbreaker. Gage eventually tracked the thief to a forest where he was supposedly holed up with a band of brigands. When the crew arrived to seek their vengeance on the bandits, they had already been set upon by a massive treant and a quartet of dryads. The forest had cursed the cutthroats, and to Gage's shock, embedded the lot of them still living in the wooden flesh of the treant. Razira, a druid herself, utterly refused to disturb the treant or its protectors, and went so far as to threaten the captain should he take arms against them to recover his sword. Gage had given approximate directions, or can give approximate directions and descriptions to the location he last saw the treant, a massive forest a few miles from a well-known coastal city. Treasure. Should the characters track down the sword and return it, Gage offers to give them 5,000 gold pieces and a robe of eyes, a gift given to him by the Marquis of Bellerand years ago. Should the party desire the sword for themselves, Gage does not begrudge them, better in the hands of people he trusts than a coward like the Rat. Stormbreakers in the appendices. Powerful weapon in the hands of seafaring folk and can fetch a high price for certain collectors. When the characters find the treant, 6 vine-wrapped skeletons remain half-embedded, grown over in the treant's body. Jarrus, however, looks hale and hearty thanks to his were-rat blood, with twigs and branches piercing through his body ineffectually. The dryads and their treant guardians seek only to remain secluded and safe, but require a great deal of convincing to give up their captive, lest he escape and do more harm to the forest. Characters must succeed on a DC 18 persuasion check to convince the dryads to release the rat. Should a character fail the check, the dryads attempt to beguile them with magic and force them from the forest. Should the dryads be attacked, the treant defends them to the death. Jarrus has been left completely mad by his imprisonment and attacks the party as soon as he is free, shouting gibberish and mad ramblings all the while. A greater restoration spell relieves him of this madness, but does not improve his prickly, selfish demeanor. Among the corpses in Jarrus embedded in the treant are 8 platinum, 44 gold, 81 silver pieces, a potion of animal friendship, a horn of blasting, and Stormbreaker. Any mundane gear is gone. And then here we can see our breakfast, dinner, dessert, drinks, and alcohol. And I mean, look at this. We have a full menu here, right? I'm not going to go through everything because even this would take me a long enough time. But let's look at the dessert because we knew that was limited. Honey hand cakes, marzipan, warm honeyed goat's milk. And it's not even just like he has just, warm honeyed goat's milk. That would have been fine. But then we have a bowl of creamy goat's milk whipped with hot honey into a sweet, airy cream. Like, we have the title and then descriptiveness of it. And then the alcohol that they offer. We have Softwind, which is an ale. Hillstepper, which is a lager. Darkrest, which is a spiced wine. Calburn's Fierce, which is a rum. And we have how much it is for a cup or a gallon. And Hillstepper, for example, has a little bit of an extra benefit here. The first time a creature drinks 5 mugs of Hillstepper 5 lager in one sitting, they can roll 1d4 and add that many hit points to their hit point maximum. That's awesome. I love that. I'm in love with this. And then here's our menu. You could actually print this menu out and hand it to your players. Don't be a snot, tip your barmaid. And that's one, all right? And there's several others like this, so we're going to skip ahead. Hey guys, editing Ted here again. I know I said I was going to give you a tavern, an inn, and a tap room. I did that, and the total video was almost an hour long. It was like 55 minutes long. And while I know some of you out there love my extensive, long videos where I go through everything in depth, I do want to point out that that was just covering 3, and that took me an hour. So you could see what would happen if I was going to try to do all of them. So I'm cutting it back. You're getting the the tavern from the start, and you're going to get me building my own, but you're not going to get the inn and the tap room just because it's going to be too long. Thanks for understanding, guys. Continue with the video. It gives you a whole bunch of stuff about the background, what's the size, things to think about. build the background, who built it, but we're going to just roll into this. So first we're going to take a D8 and determine what our naming convention is here. We got a D8. So 5, the blank type. So let's determine, so it's going to be, what is it? The blank type is on table C. Where's our D20 here? This is going to be the stump. And the type is, as established in the introduction, we're going to choose Tavern, Inn, or Taproom. So we're going to be the stump inn. Going to be what our own places is. Let's determine our owner, innkeeper, tavern keeper, or barkeep. On the following table to determine who runs the business. Okay. So the stump inn is run by the ghost of a long-dead proprietor that refuses to leave but pays very well. The clientele of the stump inn is comfortable. The wealth is comfortable. Skilled tradespeople and military officers. These patrons are happy to spend several gold and tip well. And let's see. The overall alignment of our patrons is at the stump inn is neutral, mostly uncaring patrons that are neither problematic nor overly pleasant. They may bark orders and steal small items, but cause few problems. What other features do we have? What's our physical feature of the stump inn? It has jars of bioluminescent fungi in place of torches to prevent it from burning down a third time. Okay. It also has 2 awakened mice. Chat with patrons all night and day. Jet and Jib are inquisitive, muscular, and beloved by the staff. Each location should have a special item or service. It's got a book collection. The establishment offers a wide selection of books, journals, scrolls, maps, or other written collections for patrons. What's the illegal amenity? Let's give it all of the things. The proprietor of this establishment actively plots to overthrow the local government. Man, what a crazy ghost. And the location type? Suspended. The establishment is built far overhead in a tree, on a cliff, or built atop an impenetrable abandoned wizard tower. Such places take great pains to ensure wonderful views are maintained. The staff? Pitiful, overworked, underpaid, and run ragged by patrons. The staff is threadbare, but trying their best. Kind of disagrees with our well-paying ghost, but that's fine. The room features are modern. They have seen before their time, are oddly futuristic, such as polished steel counters, chairs with gnomish-made wheels, meshed fabric coverings, and spun cotton bedding. The menu, oops, that's a D4, not a D10. Menu is great. Victuals to be remarked upon. Fresh ingredients on clean tables, plates, and utensils. Meals have hearty, balanced portions that are well represented. Care is put into making sure each meal and beverage are above expectations. 5 silver pieces to 1 gold piece per meal, no more than 2 gold pieces per drink. The dining type is plentiful, with large drinks, big plates, and hefty servings. A few people leave wanting. That's probably why the staff is paid so low, because you spend so much money on the food. Let's generate 1 random meal. Okay, so we're going to make fried. Let's go fried venison, parsnip, fried venison and parsnips with oregano and pasta. Sounds like a good meal to me. Let's give them a quest or a job here. Let's get our D6. Personal errands. The patrons and staff are desperate for help seeing to personal conflicts in their life, be it recovering kidnapped family members from brigands, clearing out monster-infested houses, or safely escorting employees to another location for personal reasons. Let's get some details here. Visualize the establishment in your mind. The doors are oddly disfigured. And that is us. We just made our tavern, the Stump Inn. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. I would probably actually do this in my own campaign for my own game, but we just did it here real quick, so you can feel free to use the Stump Inn in your own game or roll your own. Appendix A are some guest-created locations. So they're just going to be more quick, kind of quick hit little areas here. Appendix B is probably also another one of my favorite parts, is the alcohol index. So we're going to get ale and beer A to Z, and we're going to see a whole bunch of different alcohols with descriptions of what they are, with how much it costs us per mug and per gallon. That's all the ales, right? Then we're going to get to, this one's got an effect. Drinking a bottle of Toppered Ogre gives you advantage on constitution checks and saving throws against all forms of poison. So we're going to get into meads, and then we have wines. And then we have spirits. There was this one, Illithid Black. Oh, good. Each swig of whiskey gives the emotions and random thoughts of one humanoid within a mile. Now we have cocktails too. After drinking 2 pints of Zolan's finest, you can fall asleep as an action and wake up normally. After 6 hours of sleep, you wake feeling well rested. Now we're going to get into the magic items. We already touched on Stormbreaker, so I feel like that's the one we should talk about because there are other items as well, but it's a very rare scimitar that requires attunement. +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon. While carrying the sword, you are under the effects of the water breathing spell. It has 6 charges and regains 1d4 +1 charges daily at dawn within 10 miles of the sea. While you carry it, you can use an action and spend 1 or more of its charges to cast the following spells from it. DC 15, Fog Cloud for 1, Gust of Wind for 2, Control Wind for 3, or Control Weather for 5. So there are some that are quest rewards. Then there are just some other magic items here. Magic armors included, wondrous items. And that's it. And then we have our appendices, or kind of our credits at the end. And that's it. Sorry guys, I didn't actually anticipate this being so long, but that's just the testament to the amount of dedication and just how intricate this document is. There's a reason it's 90 pages. There's a reason it was a gold seller in 4 days, and it's a platinum seller right now. It's just a really good document. It has a lot of really good stuff. You could use it for only the things that are included in here, only the included taverns, and I think it'd be well worth the $9.95 price. But the fact that there's a random generator, which again, after so many times, you're going to run out of, it's not going to be random anymore because there's only so many options. But you could just use the list of alcohols and things, and that could just enhance your own homebrew world. Plus, who doesn't love more magic items? So I'm very curious what you guys think. There'll be a link in the description if you'd like to pick up a copy for yourself. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see me doing more D&D stuff live, where you can talk and interact with me as it happens, whether it be character building, world building, or gameplay stuff, you can check out our Twitch channel as well. There's a link in the description to that as well. I said well a lot there. Anyway, guys, I'll see you next time.